What is a record, sports or otherwise, that will likely never be broken? Glenn Hall played 502 consecutive games as an NHL goalie. Zero chance that will ever be broken. Goalies these days rarely play more than 3/4 of an 82-game season, let alone numerous seasons without a night off. Alexander Karelin, Greco-Roman wrestler. 887 wins to 2 losses. Entered 9 world championships and never lost a bout in them. The longest professional tennis match of all time. John Isner vs. Nicholas Maheu at Wimbledon 2010. It lasted 11 hours 5 minutes, spanning 3 days of play, with a final score of 6-4, 3-6, 6-7, 7-6, 70-68. It was already nearly twice as long as the previous record holder. The reason it will likely never be broken is that every professional tournament except for one, Roland Garros, now has tiebreaker rules that limit the number of games that can be played in final sets. Although it's hypothetically possible at RG, clay court tennis is not at all conducive to the serve and volley style of play that led to the insanely long 5th set of Isner-Maheu. John Isner hit 113 aces in his 70-68 match at Wimbledon, played over 3 days. That record will never be broken because Wimbledon changed their rules so they can't play that many games ever again. Tears of joy. Hans hires DNQ, DNF and DSQ in one F1 race. Did not qualify. Did not finish and disqualified. He did not qualify because he was too slow. Started anyway by sneaking his car in. Only when his gearbox failed after 10 laps was it realized that Hire should not have been competing. Whereupon he was disqualified. Wade Boggs drank 64 beers on a domestic flight. Rip Wade Boggs. What is your "the beatings will continue until morale improves" work story? It would be too much work for you to train new staff. So you'll just have to do your job plus most of someone else's job while we dick around for months on a unicorn hunt looking for some magic candidate who perfectly fits into the open position with zero training. Sincerely, the management. We had multiple people quit. Repeated leadership meetings about bad attitudes, low morale, etc. Height of the pandemic in an essential workplace. I suggested a monthly meeting with all the staff to check in. See what they were concerned about. Ask if they had suggestions. To lay off on unnecessary contests for things that were literally not the job. And generally try to lower the stress on people in general. Learn what the key problems were. And show appreciation and that we cared. The manager was pressuring everyone to get a certain number of donations for rotating charities per day. It was stressing everyone out and several people said they were uncomfortable as we were in a poorer neighborhood and times were tough for a lot of people and they were not comfortable asking people who were barely scraping by to donate. This was discussed by leadership as insubordination. And the person who refused to ask people on food stamps for donations was written off as a bad apple. My suggestion to have meetings to talk about their concerns was shot down. BC, we don't want them bringing negative things up. The solution the rest of leadership decided on was to ban the daily meme email. BC, it was negative, just normal, oh god it's Monday stuff. To shut down any negative talk, and if we heard anyone complain or they brought things up to us, to tell them to focus on work, the contests that were not the actual job, and to have disciplinary meetings with anyone who complained or did not comply. Literally the entire staff quit. I worked in a small IT-based company where the owner had some pretty bad anger issues. He also had his whole family in supervisor positions. The actual techs were great and we were a pretty tight-knit group who took pride in our work. There was a period where the tech group had shrunk pretty small and newer techs were bouncing pretty quickly after being hired once they got a real glimpse at what a shitshow the place was. The quality of work ended up suffering enough that we had daily all-hands-on-deck meetings talking about it, and morale was a central issue. Our main complaint was the owner's meddling and micromanaging, but he never got the hint. So we kept having these daily meetings. We then came up with the joke, the meetings will continue until morale improves. We had to take a survey, and one question was, aside from getting a pay increase, what would make you feel more appreciated in your current position? And we all wrote down things like birthdays off with pay, less overtime, allow coffee, soft drinks while we are working, increase breaks from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. We all handed in the surveys. They did not implement a single suggestion. They sent a survey about what our perceptions about the workplace were. Voicing some issues with some areas was 100% going to get you in trouble, so I complained that the survey was not anonymous, and didn't complete most of it. Some days later I was personally contacted by 3 people wanting to find out what was wrong. They completely missed the whole point. Subscribe, my brothers.